Let's talk about adding and subtracting fractions. So starting with an addition and a subtraction, so we are adding two fractions a over d plus b over d that is equals to a plus b over d. So d is a denominator, so you will have to add the numerator only if, again, only if these two fractions have the same denominator. So let me repeat myself again. A over d plus b over d, you check the denominators, make sure they are the same. If so, go ahead, add the numerator. For subtraction, same thing. Go ahead, check the denominators, make sure they are the same, and then you can proceed to subtract the two numerators. What if the two denominators are not the same? Then you have to find their common denominator. So the common denominator is required in addition and subtraction. So that means when you add or subtract two fractions, make sure they have the same denominator. A common denominator, so in this video, I will use CD for short. When I write common denominator, I will just write CD, is sometimes computed by finding the least common multiple of the denominator. Okay, so let's start with two simple computation. I want you to do 5 over 2 plus 6 over 2. They have the same denominator, so you go ahead, do the 5 plus 6 divided by 2. That is equals to 11 divided by 2. And then 20 over 3 minus 6 over 3, so you go ahead, do 20 minus 6 divided by 3. Then you have 14 divided by 3. That is easy, right? So let's take a look at these 4 examples. So in these 4 examples, they don't have the same denominator. So what do we do? Starting with the first one, so 1 over 6 plus 2 over 3. The first denominator is 6, the second denominator is 3. They are not the same, so I want to make them to be the same. So here is what I am thinking. Listen. 6 is the multiple of 3. That means if I have a 3, I multiply by 2, I get a 6. I am looking at the 6 and the 3. Try to find any relationship. 3 times 2 is equals to 6. Therefore, I determine that the common denominator is equals to 6. And then I write 1 over 6 plus 2 over 3. That is what I asked to do, right? How do you make the 3 becomes a 6? So here is what I want you to write. So you have to multiply the top and bottom by 2. 3 times 2 is equals to 6. That's why the denominator you have to multiply a 2. But you might ask me, hey, since you want to make a 6 in the denominator, then okay, then why do you have to multiply the top by 2? Look, what did I do? I multiply the 2/3 by 2 over 2. That means I multiply the 2 over 3 by 1. So every time you take a number multiplied by 1, you are not changing the quantity, right? You think about a number. Any number you like, 6, 16, 3.4, any number you like, you take that number multiplied by 1, you are not changing the quantity at all, right? So another way to call this, you can call the 2 over 2 is a magic one that helps me to get to the common denominator. If you want to look for another way to say this, you can say this: as long as you multiply the top and bottom by the same quantity, you only change the outlook of the fraction, the quantity remains the same. Okay, so you have to multiply the top and bottom by the same quantity. Okay, we go back to the computation. So we have a 1 over 6 plus 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 2 is 6. So that is equal to 1 plus 4, right? So 1 plus 4 is equals to 5. 5 divided by 6. When you multiply two fractions, you just multiply the top and then multiply the bottom. Multiplication is easy. You just multiply the top, multiply the bottom. But for addition and subtraction, you need a common denominator. All right, so 5 over 6. Now, some people might ask me, hey, other than 6 over 3, can I use an 18? Because the easiest way I do this is I just multiply the two common denominator. Let's switch color. So can I let the common denominator be 18? 1 over 6 plus 2 over 3. Can I use 18? Common denominator is 6 times 3. I multiply the two denominator equals to 18. The answer is absolutely fine. So how do you get the 18? You have to multiply the top and bottom by what? You have to multiply the top and bottom by 3, right? 6 times 3 is 18. For the 3, how do you get to 18? 6. Then you have to multiply the top and bottom by 6. Okay, so 3 over 3 is 1, 6 over 6 is 1. I only change the outlook. The quantity remains the same. Okay, then we do the multiplication. Top times top, bottom times bottom. 1 times 3 is equals to 3. 6 times 3 is equals to 18. And then 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 6 is 18. Then you have a 15 divided by 18, right? Okay, then we box this and then you ask me the next question. Hey, they don't look the same. Look, what is 15 equal to? 15 is equals to 3 times 5, right? 18 is equals to 3 times 6. You cancel the 3, then you go back to 5 over 6. This is in the lower, is reduced to the lowest term. The 15 over 18 is not in the lowest term. Do we really have to reduce the fraction in statistics? I will say the answer is sometimes. When I teach statistics, I accept answers like 15 over 18 because that is a statistic class. I am not going to test you how to simplify reduce a fraction, but in some cases, let's say you do homeworks online or your instructor requires you to simplify or reduce the fraction, then you have to do it. Depends on your instructor's preference. In my class, I would just say, forget it, you don't need to do it, just leave it as 15 over 18. But in some other instructor's class, you have to pay attention to what they want you to do, right? So that is number one. Oh, what is the benefit of doing this? The benefit of doing this is you don't have to think too much. You can just multiply the two denominator, get a common denominator, and then you move on. But the bad news is if the numbers are large, you might end up with large numbers on top and bottom when you get to your answer, which is not in the lowest term, the 15 over 18. Sometimes if the numbers are big, so let's say I give you a 1 over 16 plus 2 over 23. If you multiply the 16 and 23, then you have to deal with large numbers. So which one do you prefer to use? I let you decide. But either way, you will get to the right answer. Okay, so let's take care of the next one. So the next one is 11 over 44 plus 2 over 4. This one, if you multiply the 44 and 4, you are going to get a huge common denominator. Since 44 is the multiple of 4, I will just let the common denominator be 44. So the 11 over 44 is already in common denominator, not going to touch that at all. And then the 2 over 4, I will just multiply the top and bottom by 11. Because 4 times 11 is equals to 44. And then I have 11 over 44. Top times top, 2 times 11 is 22. Bottom times bottom is 44. So you have a 33 divided by 44. All right. So 33 divided by 44 in my class, I accept that. But if you're doing homework online or your instructor wants you to reduce the fraction, then you have to do so. So since they are both the multiple of 11, so 3 times 11 divided by 4 times 11, you reduce the 11, then the answer is 3 over 4. Okay, so that is number 2. And then number 3, let's switch color for number 3. So that is 2 over 6 plus 1 over 5. So common denominator, I can just take 6 times 5 equals to 30. So I copy the problem again. And then 1 over 5, and then go ahead to show my work. So let's change and use another color. So let's multiply the top and bottom by 5, multiply the top and bottom by 6. So for multiplication, what do? You just multiply the top and bottom, right? Simple rule. So 2 times 5 is equals to 10, 6 times 5 is 30, 1 times 6 is 6, 5 times 6 is 30, and then you have a 16 divided by 30, right? So 16 divided by 30, they are both even numbers, and then you can divide the top and bottom by 2 to reduce the fraction. 16 divided by 2 is 8, 30 divided by 2 is 15. In my class, especially when all the problems are written on paper, I accept both. But if you are doing homework online, they might want the 18 over 15, not the 60 over 30, especially if the purpose of the section or the lesson is asking you to reduce the fraction. All right, so moving on to the next one. So the next one we have 4 over 7 plus 8 over 3. So this one 7 times 3, common denominator 7 times 3 is 21. And then you copy the problem, 4 over 7 plus 8 over 3. And then 21. I can do this, multiply top and bottom by 3, multiply top and bottom by 7. And then 4 times 3 is 12, 7 times 3 is 21, 8 times 7 is 56, 3 times 7 is 21, and then 56 plus 12, you have a 68 divided by 21. This one cannot be reduced. So 68 divided by 21 is your final answer. So that's how you add and subtract fractions. Now, you might want to ask me, hey, let's do a what if. What if this is a minus? What if this is a minus? Just a what if. So for the blue one, if that is a minus, so if this is a minus and this is a minus, then you have 12 over 21 minus 56 over 21, then you are doing a 12 minus 56. So 12 minus 56, that gives you a negative 44. Then you have a negative 44 divided by 21 if the operation is minus. So back to the one on top, what if that is a minus? What if that is a minus? Then you have a 10 minus 6 divided by 30. Then the answer is 4 divided by 30. Again, for addition and subtraction, you perform the operation for the numerators only. But for multiplication, you have to multiply the top and multiply the bottom. Okay, all right. So for add and subtract, don't touch the denominator. Only add or subtract the top. For multiplication of fractions, you multiply the top and then you multiply the bottom. All right. So 4 problem is never enough. Let's do 4 more. So what if I want you to add multiple fractions at the same time? So the first one is 2 over 20 plus 9 over 10 minus 1 over 5. Okay, this type of problem, so I will just go from left to right. Okay, so for the first one, the 20 and the 10, I will just let the common denominator be 20. Okay, so the 2 over 20. Okay, now I want you to do this. 9 over 20, not 9 over 20, 9 over 10. How do you do the common denominator? So the common denominator is you multiply the top and bottom by 2 because 10 times 2 gives you a 20. And then you go back to the math. So that is 2 over 20 plus 18, 9 times 2. And then minus 1/5. So this one you have a 20 over 20, right? So you have a 20 over 20 minus the 5. So the 20 and the 5, what common denominator can you use? You can use a 20, right? So minus 1 over 5. The 1 over 5, you can just go ahead and multiply the top and bottom by 4 because 5 times 4 is equals to 20. So that is equals to 20 divided by 20 minus 4 over 20. So you have a 16 over 20. And then reduce this, divide the top and bottom by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So this is the answer in the lowest terms. So that's the first one. Let's go ahead do the next one. So the next one, let's use a different color for that. So the next one is a 3 over 4 plus 1 over 10 minus 1 over 12. Okay. Common denominator. Should I use a 40? I don't think so. So this one, let's do 3 numbers at a time. So according to my experience, I know that the common denominator is 20 because 4 times 5 is 20, 10 times 2 is 20, and then 2 times 10 equals to 20. So 20 is the multiple of least common multiple of 4, 10, and 2. Okay. So I copy the problem one more time, and then I show my work. Oh, what if you are very good at this? After some practice, then you don't need to show this little work, the step that I am doing right now. So this will be a 5, 5, right? 4 times 5 is 20. This is a 2, 2. 10 times 2 is 20. This is a 10, 10. 2 times 10 is 20. And then you do the math. So that is a 15 divided by 20 plus 2 divided by 20, and then minus 10 divided by 20. Again, you multiply the top and then you multiply the bottom. So you have a 15 plus 2 that is equals to 17. 17 minus 10, you have a 7 over 20. Then this is the end of the next problem. Moving on to the next one. So the next one we have what? We have 10 over 11 plus 8 over 44 minus 3 over 44. So according to the order of operation, this one you can, if you only have addition and subtraction, again, if you only entire line is addition and subtraction, it is okay to handle these two first. Okay, I know you there is tons of questions mark in your brain right now. So how about this? Let's do a 10 plus 6 minus 2. Go from left to right. 16 minus 2 is equals to 14, right? Okay, 10 plus 6 minus 2. Do this one first. So you have 10 plus 4, that is equals to 14. Got it. Okay. Let's do these two first because they are already in common denominator. Minus 11 plus 8 minus 3 is equals to 5, and this is a 44. So this one, the common denominator, is just a 44. Okay, so after you decide that, you copy this, leave some room for yourself, and then I show you the math. I multiply the top and bottom by 4. Why 4? Because 11 times 4 is equals to 44. So that is 10 times 4, 5 over 44, 44, and then you have 45 over 44. That's it. Last one. The last problem, we have 1 over 17 plus 14 over 34 minus 1 over 4. Okay, this one, what do we do? Here, 17 and 34. Do you see that 17 times 2 is equals to 34? Right? So this one, I will do 17, save some space, and then plus 14 over 34, and I am not touching the last one yet. So since 17 times 2 is 34, I will multiply the top and bottom by 2, and then we have a 2, 1 times 2 is 2, and then 34 plus 14 over 34, and then minus 1 over 4. So this is a 16, right? Over 34 minus 1 over 4. Okay, 34 and 4. Oh, by the way, the 16 and the 34, they are both even, right? So the 16 is 2 times 8. 34 is equals to 2 times 17. When you reduce that, you have 8 over 17 minus 1 over 4. So this one, the 17 and the 4, I will just do this. 17 times 4 is equals to 68. Then I will just use that as a common denominator. So 8 over 17 minus 1 over 4. Okay, let's do the job. So 17, multiply the top and bottom by 4. The 4, multiply the top and bottom by 17. And then 8 times 4 is 32. And then 1 times 17 is 17. And then you have 32 minus 17, that is equals to 15. Let me fix a mistake real quick. So 15, 4 times 17, that should be 68. This one should be 68, and that is 15 divided by 68. All right, so that is the end of this video. If you think my instruction is helpful, let me know in the comment below. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, support my channel. I appreciate your help a lot. I will see you all in the next lesson. Signing off for now.